I'm sure many of you have heard of the US debt clock from usdebtclock.org, and in the upper left-hand corner you can see our US national debt is rapidly approaching $23 trillion. Do I look worried? Should I be worried? Should you be worried? I don't know. Let's check out another chart. Here is some economic research published by the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. It shows the federal debt as a percentage of our gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is simply the total value of the goods produced and services provided by the U.S. during a one-year period. So this chart simply shows the total public debt as a percentage of gross domestic product. So it goes back to 1966 and charts what that percentage is all the way up to now. So you'll see in the 1970s it was down to about 40% of gross domestic product, and then our debt dipped down in the 80s down to closer to 30, and then it rose in the 80s and in the 90s, and then kind of went down in the 2000s, went up again in the 2000s, and then in the last financial crisis it kind of zipped on up as the government spent more money trying to pull us out of that crisis, and it's been going up since, and then it's been kind of going choppy up and down ever since 2015-ish, and it brings us up to here in 2019. So you'll see we're kind of right at this 100%, a little over 100% level, which means that the U.S. owes just a little bit more than the total gross domestic product that we put out in 1 year. So since 2008, our debt has climbed from 60% of our gross domestic product up to a little bit over 100% of our gross domestic product. Is that a problem? It doesn't seem like it. You really don't hear much about it from our politicians in Washington from either side, either party. They don't really bring this up, which means I don't think they really care. Or maybe they just don't see it as a problem. But is it a problem? Let me put forth an analogy. It might be correct or incorrect to use, but let's just say the gross domestic product is like the U.S. income. Let's equate it to our income. Let's say my income is $50,000 a year. Let's say the U.S. gross domestic product represents an income level. So let's say my income is $50,000 a year, but my debt is just over $50,000 a year. Does that mean I'm totally broke? Does that mean there's no way for me to reverse that and become financially strong in the future? I don't think so. I have many years ahead of me to go ahead and try to pay that off, and I can pay a little bit each year and pay it down. In fact, you'll know many people take mortgages that are many times their income level. So you'll see that over time you can pay off a big amount of money based on a certain income level. And that's what I'm seeing as the US debt. Let's just say that's a debt of 100% of our gross domestic product or our US income level. We have many years in the future to pay that down. Now, will we or won't we? I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's any trend towards paying it down by our US government leaders. But I'm just saying, going out in the future, we may be able to sustain ourselves and pay that down, or at least keep that level around 100%. Again, our gross domestic product grows every year typically, and if we just keep that level of debt at 100% or lower, we may be okay. Of course, it'd be better if we paid it down, but I think going forward, there's no immediate threat to the U.S. economic financial system because of our U.S. debt. And it doesn't hurt that the U.S. prints the U.S. dollar, which is the world reserve currency, so we're in a particularly unique position against the rest of the world. We can always print more dollars to pay back what we owe. Of course, that's not a good thing, but we do it and it's done, and it kind of protects us. And again, us being the creditor to the world basically, and our money being the reserve currency, it puts us in a unique position where such a debt level isn't so threatening. If we weren't the US and we were a different country, then that debt level of 100% of gross domestic product would probably be a problem. So what do you think about my comparison? Do you agree? Do you think this is a valid comparison I'm making? Or do you totally disagree? Maybe I'm missing something. I probably am. I'd love to hear your feedback. Leave some comments in the notes and let me know what you think. Do you think this is a problem? I don't see it as an immediate problem or even a problem out for the next 10-20 years, but maybe I'm wrong. I'd love to hear your views on it. I appreciate you watching my video. Thank you very much.